There were so many good games played at the esports World Cup that I don't even really know where to begin. But we'll start with this one. A best of 5 series of Protoss versus Zerg. We're in the top right-hand corner, playing with the blue Protoss pieces. We have the new #1 Protoss in the world, and he goes by the name of Classic. His opponent down in the bottom right, playing with the red Zerg pieces, we have Solar. Now, this is already a little bit funky. Generally speaking, in this matchup, you don't wall the high ground. So the first pylon goes right next to the main base. We'll have to have a look at exactly what's going on. In the meantime, Solar has decided to mine out the golden mineral fields as he is going for what? For what looks like a... That's the wrong side! You're supposed to be taking it over here! Okay, well, the fact that Classic went for a high ground wall-off makes me think that he believes he's got some sort of counterplay in mind. Because the only reason you would pull this off is if you're concerned about the opponent going for some sort of shenanigans. Maybe the reason Solar has decided to build his hatch over here is because he is planning on mining out those mineral fields. I'm not exactly sure. Either way, Classic can get the information just by, well, poking up here with the scouting worker, and he should be able to tell exactly what's going on, and that is exactly what he decides to do now. The weird thing is, though, maybe this is actually the play here from Solar. Maybe he expects the probe to not go any further than here. No, he's gonna double down. Classic is gonna check, and he will see that there is... Oh, no, we have a forge. It's a gateway into a forge. That there is indeed a hatchery building on the wrong side of the mineral line. Dude, this is the type of stuff that happens when you give players a lot of time to prepare for a match. This is crazy. High ground wall off, hatchery on the wrong side, gold base first, drone pool into cannon rush? What is even happening here? Probe is likely to fall though, but I think the photon cannon is already up. Not a whole lot that the Zerg player can do about it. First group of Zerglings is coming up. Oh, Solar decides to now use some of those drones offensively. He obviously sees now that the photon cannon is going to finish up, but he can use these drones to mine out the skinny golden mineral fields right over here. Problem is, Protoss is on one base. I mean, it should not be a problem at all here for Classic, who's doubling down, by the way. That probe did stay alive. He's got a handful of Zerglings, but I don't think this is working out for, well, Solar at all. Solar not only losing the hatchery here eventually, I believe, but then also, well, losing so much mining time. So in a very weird way, one base Protoss is more than he needs. Now what he also needs though is some sort of way to defend his base. There's no photon cannon on the high ground, and that makes me a little bit concerned. A depth starts up right now. Classic believes that he's gonna be okay. He's gonna need to re-wall himself in. In the meantime, the photon cannons are working away at that first hatchery. What a crazy game. The Adept will spawn though, and this is a re-wall over here, so the Zerglings aren't going to be able to run up the ramp. Looks like the drones that are still alive decide to go back around. Second Adept coming up as well. It looks like, okay, we may need a backup pylon once more. It's a lot of lost money here though for Classic. And that is what ultimately concerns me here quite a bit, right? So, okay, let's talk about it. What exactly did Solar lose? He lost the hatchery, 275 minerals. He lost a lot of mining time on the drones as well, and then obviously he had to like transfer them there. He did mine a little bit of gold, but not a whole lot. It's a bit difficult to quantify. But as far as the total resources lost go, it's not the end of the world here for Solar whatsoever. And we have to take into consideration the fact that Classic spent, well, it's 150 minerals per photon cannon, and then 100 minerals each for the pylons. So he spent a very significant portion of his total amount of money here on stuff that really doesn't matter too much. I mean, Solar should definitely just leave this be. There's really no reason for him to be aggressive and try to shut that down. So he's expanding right now in his natural expansion. In the meantime, Classic is still stuck on one base. Oracle coming up, and Solar does have a scout inside of the main, so you will see exactly what's happening. This is nutty. This is crazy, actually. I don't even really... Are you gonna... Oh, Classic! I kind of love that. You know what? I didn't even consider that. I thought this probe was gonna die to the drones. But I kind of love that. Solar's gonna see it now, though. It's kind of out of range. A couple of Adepts are getting warped in over here. You know what? I thought that those photon cannons and pylons were kind of wasted. But I guess you can use this now as an expansion of your own. This is one of the craziest games of StarCraft 2 I've ever seen. I mean, it's crazy in the sense that it's so high level crazy. Here we go, though. Oracle is here. One drone goes down. Second drone goes down. Nothing too crazy, though. Like, I've seen stuff. I have seen things. Fleet Beacon on the back of this, too. I have seen things, especially in the viewer-submitted replays. Things that are unspeakable. But usually, they only work because it's kind of, you know, you're crossing your fingers and you're hoping that your opponent is kind of dumb, right? And, well, luckily for us, basically everybody on the ladder is. But at this level, it's really difficult to win with dumb strategies. Now, this wall is even one that Hero would be proud of. What in the world is even happening here? Absolute abomination of a wall off, but it's because, well, he's been trying his best just to not lose to the Zerglings. This is a very high level game that is still kind of dumb, but it's like an intelligent level of dumb. You know what I mean? This game is simultaneously 20 IQ and 200. I love the fact, though, that he sees it. So the Fleet Beacon is planted down. Solar somehow, some way, scouts that a Tempest is being produced. Second Stargate here also. We did see a recall with the probes towards the gold base. Oracle still goes around. It's actually super important to keep this one around. Because Revelation, it works together so well with those Tempests. Still, Solar has got some time. He's taking a third base now. And he is spreading a lot of creep in this direction. This is going to be one of the best games of StarCraft I've seen in a while. Honestly, can't predict who's winning this right now. I'm across the board not hating this position for either player. As weird as it is, I feel like both of them have navigated this very strange setup brilliantly. Alright, well, here's the first Tempest, though. There's already 2 of them out. It takes 5 Tempests to one-shot a Queen. You can, however, one-shot drones with 1 Tempest, so that's nice, I suppose. But the Queens here are kind of dangerous. I love the Corrosive Balls here as well. Ay, ay, ay. You have to be careful, though. Classic, don't go full Protoss, please, and lose your Tempest to units that you can outrange with ease. Thank you. 5 probes, by the way, have now gone down. Yeah, Corrosive Balls are actually super annoying in this kind of setup. Arraigning them in the mineral line just to force the probes to shuffle around. Spire on the back of this, though, for Solar. And I love this Spire here. If he can actually get the Spire going, he can make some Corruptors. Those Tempests are likely just going to get destroyed. It is difficult, though, because you can't really overproduce Corruptors, right? A couple Ravagers trying to go in around the site. Additional Queens, though, do come up. They're mostly just here to buy time for the Corruptors to come out. Still, though, the Spire is already about to finish. He doesn't have a lot of money in the bank. Nice targeting right there by Classic, who's working his way through all of those Queens. There we go. Oh, nice targeting again. Yeah, dude, getting a 5th would be so big. With 5 Tempests, you can practically one-shot everything in the game. Still, though, they take a long time to produce. And while the Spire can also take forever, it is now, well, it's just about to actually spawn those Corruptors. I think you have to go home. Classic has probably got at least a feel. He's looking around. Look. He's looking around. He sees it now. He sees that the Spire is here. He must have seen one of those Corruptors too. It is important that he doesn't overstay his welcome, or at the very least that he can, like, recall on out of here. Okay, good recall. I like the recall. Maybe 1? All right, 1 Tempest goes down. But 9 drones in exchange of it. Protoss is going to need a 3rd soon. I know we're 9 minutes into the game. Normal timing would, like, be 3.5 minutes, but he's going to need one here before too long. Still, though, he's more concerned with just staying alive. Second Tempest does fall, but I love this switch up right here from Classic. Classic knew that the Corruptors and the Queens would be produced. And you know what those units are terrible against? Stalkers. Just good old Stalkers. There's no blink. We do have a force field available, though. I would love to see it on the ramp. Okay, decides to go for the oh my god. Guardian Shield, there we go. I've played this game before. I've casted a few games. Nice targeting right here with the Corruptors, but the Corruptors are now also dwindling. It's weird to see Stalkers, though, without their upgrade at this point in the game. And this is still some phenomenal creep spread as well by Solar. Still, Solar losing 7 drones during all of this. He's now heavily outsupplying his opponent, though. Still at 45 workers versus only 33 probes on the side of Classic. Classic, of course, though, does have those golden mineral fields. I'd like this better for Solar. Yeah, the longer that this goes on, I think the better it's becoming here for Solar. Even though Classic is playing a very intelligent strategic game, I'm a little afraid for him that he is just gonna get out-macroed. Because Solar has got this third base up, right? And it's completely uncontested. As a matter of fact, I don't even think Classic knows of it. No, Classic hasn't seen it. It's so far out of the way, he can't really find his way through that side of the map very easily. Now, shield batteries are here. Maybe the Corruptors, though. Okay, we'll be able to finish up that, well, almost final Tempest. Finally, a Twilight Council coming up, but now suddenly we're approaching several minutes of downtime right here for Classic. Like, what exactly do you do right now as the Protoss player? You kind of have to wait until Blink is done, right? Like, at this point, you kind of just have to sit on your bases and hope for the best. If Solar reads this properly, he can probably make a round of workers here and, well, pull even further ahead. He decides to right-click, though. Oh my god, a cancel? What? I'm actually surprised he decided to go for the cancel there. Classic apparently feeling the heat. Keep in mind that this was played in a $700,000 tournament. Some players don't really seem to care very much. Oh my god, went behind. Dark Shrine. Of course. Of course. I don't mind it. But we are sort of approaching the phase in the game where Zerg is just going to, well, outgrow Protoss. And Solar is doing a very good job, really not allowing Classic too much wiggle room. Classic is still going up against the Zerg with just really 2 base saturation. 43 workers is really not a whole lot. So Solar is ready to put it all on the line. Not really comfortable to drone up, not really willing to give this Protoss a whole lot of wiggle room. There was a little bit of aggression over there. The Cursed Wolof in the main base is still holding strong. Well, maybe the Dark Templar can actually change the tide of battle. Problem is, when you open up with a Stargate, obviously there are going to be Spore Crawlers, and Spore Crawlers are detectors. Some good force fields coming up, but Solar is going around the corner right now, trying to see if he can tighten the noose. One of the most beautiful games of StarCraft I have seen all year. But I think it is going to, well, result in a Zerg win here. I don't think Classic can really stop the Swarm here in the first game of this best of 5. But what a phenomenal display. Well, I mean, he's not going to be able to tap out yet, I suppose. Corruptors are using their Caustic Spray ability. Zerglings are helping out as well. The third Nexus is going to get stopped a second time around. Dark Templar, though. I mean, they're slicing up whatever they can, but there is detection available now, and GG immediately gets cold. Next up, we find ourselves on Persephone. Second map in this best of 5. Do we do anything weird this time around, Solar? Do we do anything weird this time around, Classic? No. Well, I mean, somewhere out there, the map creator is crying that Classic didn't put the pylon right over here in the pylon indicator. But fair enough. He's still going to be able to wall himself in just fine with this particular position over here too. But just starting the game off with a pylon on the high ground is already so fun to me. Even though it used to be the norm for many years, right? In the early days of StarCraft 2, that's what we used to see in the Protoss versus Zerg matchup. It's still really neat. I mean, we went through this phase as well, where we had a Forge Fast expend. If you're a StarCraft boomer like myself, the Forge Fast expend may ring a bell. These days, though, this, of course, is the gold standard. But the fact that Classic decided to go for the pylon in the main base, it is a massive indicator that he knew Solar was going to do something funky there. Okay, well, let's see. So far, though, on this map, everything is super normal. Now, what do we mean when everything is normal in this matchup, right? Like, what is the norm in Zerg versus Protoss? Well, usually it's the Zerg player in the earlier game just trying to stay alive. Over the years, Zerg has had different opportunities to attack early on, but these days, there are still builds that allow the Zerg to be aggressive in the early game of Protoss versus Zerg, but most of the time they're like maybe B tier builds at best, maybe even C tier. right? If you want to play like an A tier or an S tier strategy, you're basically a punching bag. Protoss is going to send all sorts of aggression your way, and as a Zerg, it is very much so up to you to try and defend it. So usually in a normal game, it comes in the shape of Adepts and then Oracles. Classic is a, well, very classical player, as you may have already guessed. No surprise there. He does mix it up, but usually, I mean, this is a pretty good Tempest map as well. Usually it is just going to be Stargates and then good old Tempest. So yeah, single Stargate coming up right now. Usually you go 1, 2, 3, I want to say, Oracles. One thing we have seen Protoss players experiment with quite a bit, and we actually saw this as well at the EWC. I wonder if Classic is going to go ahead and pull it off, but players that decided to go Phoenix first, Phoenix into Oracles. I am not sold on that strategy myself personally, but I mean, there's no denying that Classic is one of the very best. Problem with Phoenix first is that you have to delay your third Nexus or potentially lose it if you're not careful, so Oracle first is probably the safe way to do it. You can also go Void Ray first into Oracles. There's honestly a lot of variety. Like, broadly speaking, the early game for Protoss is this is just going to be the most classical way of approaching it. Broadly speaking, the early game for Protoss looks pretty similar, but they have a lot of small adjustments here and there with the timing of everything. You can go for quick sentries, you can go for a lot of different early games. And love this movement though by Solar, using the highway over here on the right side of the map to get those Zerglings into the opponent's natural as quickly as possible. Gateway here to complete the wall off. That does delay the third. In the meantime though, the Adepts have begun their little journey. And it means that Classic is likely going to be building a third Nexus here at about 350. About 350. Especially when he has to pull some workers out of mining here for a moment as well. 350 seems about right. You can see though that this delays him a bunch, right? So those Zerglings, it doesn't seem like a huge deal. Perfect execution, you get the third Nexus down at about 345. Now we're arriving at 357. Zerglings now are showing up too. I am loving this here for Solar. Cancel. Yep, you have to cancel that. Solar absolutely playing his opponent like a fiddle in one of the absolute most standard ways of opening up in this matchup. And that is always a good sign, right? If you're a Zerg player in this regard. Using the healing circle as well. Topping the Lings off, and we're going in for some additional damage. Now, I highly doubt he's going to be able to force another cancel. But up to this point, I'm liking the game quite a bit for Solar. In the meantime, though, the Oracles do go across 4 workers, 5 workers. Gets a little bit greedy. Doesn't lose the Oracle, though, so that's nice. Don't lose it. The Queens want to go off creep. Solar fishing for a lucky final hit. Does not quite get the job done. All right, the problem here for Protoss now, if you get delayed in any way, shape, or form in the early game, sure, it's not that big of a deal. Like, all of your final attacks are gonna, well, be like maybe a half minute later or so, but it opens up a gigantic opportunity for the Zerg to be aggressive. If you play a clean early game as Protoss, it's really hard for Zerg to go for an all-in. But right now, as Classic, you have to be very concerned, yes, for exactly this. Queen drops, Roach drops, Ravager pushes, all of them are now an opportunity here for Solar because Classic has had a shaky early game. The problem though for Solar is that if he commits to an attack like that, he needs to deal damage with it. It's not a push that you can just sort of deal some damage with and then transition away from again, and you just kind of double down, or you need to deal damage. So Solar is going to try his very best. He needs to. So Overlord speed, I think you only get it because you want to go for Drop-A-Lords. It's also lined up right now with the Lair finishing up. Yep. Indeed, an Overlord Cocoon is already coming, but I mean, Classic sees it. I find it very curious that he decides to build it right over here in front of his opponent's face. In the meantime, Proxy Gateway. Classic. What? Proxy Gateway right now? +1 missile coming up too for Solar, so he's not going completely all in with this. I almost wonder if it's a fake out. No. Maybe? Are we just bringing the Queens around the map? I wonder if this is just like a creep clearing crew. Oh, maybe an Oracle sniping crew. I don't know. Yeah, he's not actually being aggressive with this. Really? Dude, I remember TLO doing this back in like 2011, and everybody like everybody's mind was lost. So this is a way you can very aggressively spread creep. We don't really see it much, even though it's a really good play, mostly because it's very APM intensive. Like, even though he's got like 460 APM here, yeah, if you lose it, I mean, suddenly this is no longer worthwhile. I thought Solar was gonna go for a push, and I think he indeed faked in. I love the blink into the healing shrine. That's kind of fun. Probably should actually blink into it, though. Zerglings, in the meantime, do run in. Oh, no. Oh, it's the Drop-A-Lord. There was a second Drop-A-Lord somewhere as well. The Zerglings did not go in through the wall, but I think they must have been ferried in by an Overlord. In the meantime, there is also a little Ling run by over here. There was a hatchery attempted at the 3 o'clock position. It got denied immediately. Solar has not, however, seen the reinforcing point here, so this warp gate is gonna enable quick warp-ins here for Classic, who's now got Blink Stalkers available. Dude, high-level StarCraft is so freaking beautiful. Ay, ay, ay. Some nice corrosive balls right here from Solar. Yep, gets a couple of the Stalkers too. That is big. Keep in mind that these fights are taking place on creep and very close to where these Zerg units spawn out of their cocoons. Another couple balls connect. Really not supposed to happen. Classic, though, wants to try and see if he can maybe kill the hatchery itself. And I think if he sends one more volley, yep, it will indeed go down. And I think you go home. You just leave. Leave now and never come back. Okay, maybe we'll come back in a little bit. Really? Okay, Classic wants to continue fighting. In the meantime, though, Templar Archives coming up. And Templar Archives is a big, big upgrade for the Protoss army in 2025. He actually wants to invite the Zerg to fight on the edge of this speed circle. Very easy, obviously, to micro those Stalkers to safety when you have the benefit of the speed circle. Solar has already remade the hatchery just a little bit below this. So he's just trying to rain the corrosive balls. Normally, you would never want to be fighting up a high ground like this as Protoss, but it's kind of clever. Fourth Nexus in the meantime coming up, though. That one feels a bit late to me. Classic is busy dancing on the other side of the map. In the meantime, though, we do see the Templar Archives now researching the Storm upgrade. Hive coming up as well here for Solar, who will probably be adding on a, I would imagine, a Lurker Den in a moment. We do have a Hydralisk Den already, so I'm assuming a Lurker Den would make sense. Oracle's coming in around the side as well. Sniper Ravager or two. Nice work right here again by Classic. Man, I've been really impressed by Classic in general lately. He has really stepped up. There indeed is the Lurker Den. Still, though, those Stalkers can basically dance until Lurkers are out. Like, in theory, those Stalkers don't really have a counter at this point. The only problem is that you have so many to control that it's difficult to reliably pull it off. Solar would love to go for a counterattack towards this side of the map, but he's not getting the job done. We don't yet have Charge. We should really start up Charge here. Prioritizing Storm, though. That upgrade right now is finished. Okay. Up a choke point, up a ramp. It's very good in specific situations, I suppose, but they are highly specific. All right, Pylon gets destroyed, so I think that'll be the end of this aggression. Classic can no longer warp in reinforcements over here, but you know what? This push, it was mostly just there because he could, and to really just keep that fourth Nexus alive, right? So, again, the very best defense is the offense. This fourth Nexus, uncontested here for the most part, other than just a small group of Zerglings, a couple of Zerglings. Now Charge is coming up. Seismic Spines, though, here on the production tab here for Solar. He has his fourth hatchery back up and running. Fifth hatchery is coming up, too. I would love to see a Nidus network. I think a Nidus network would make a lot of sense. But he is kind of strapped for cash at this point. He really needs to hold this upcoming attack. Classic, though, already preparing for the next step in the master plan, as he has decided to plant down a fleet beacon together with a second Stargate. Couldn't get the hatchery kill a second time around on the right side of the map. Can he achieve that goal, though, on the left? Not quite the case. Lurkers are now out. Seismic Spines is the ranged upgrade for the Lurkers. He's going to get the Burrow upgrade as well. It's going to make them way more powerful. Roach is sent in for the counterattack now. Mostly just to try and deal some damage and to maybe trade them out for something a little bit better. Fleet Beacon, though, is done. Soon we're gonna have triple Stargates. Now, Classic can't make use of his Stargates yet because he's maxed out. Poor guy. Ah, that moment when you really want to make Tempests, but you're already maxed out. Ugh. So I guess that means we continue fighting. Yeah, this is that weird moment where you kind of want to lose some of your supply, but you also really don't want to give it away. Alright. Both players actually trading out units that they don't really want to have necessarily. One Tempest starts up. I would love to see the +1 air weapons research here for Classic, but Classic a little bit preoccupied. Good storms, though. Loses a bunch of the High Templar. Nice target firing right there by Solar. Okay, and now with this dust settling, the Nidus network is coming up. Tempest production, though, has begun. Stalkers are still blinking all day. Nidus Worm, all the way in the back. Probes immediately get pulled. Classic, though, is probably gonna have to warp in some units here or target fire down this network. Solar knows he's not gonna be able to get that worm up, but... I hate it when that happens. But... I think they have pills for that these days. But... He can continue now with the aggression here through the center of the map. He needs to be careful, though. Second Nidus Worm attempted inside of the main base. Those Tempest. Usually they're not really meant as like the janitor crew. This is like the highest paid guy in the company, but mostly just here now to clear out the trash. Still, they're pretty good at clearing out the trash because they can kill all of the... Ooh, nice catch over here. So he sees a couple of the lurkers. Obviously, the Tempest can also go ahead and kill all of the spotter units, right? So any Zorklings or Overseers, Overlords that are hiding off on the side, still very killable. Solar, though, is now recognizing the situation that he's in. He knows that he's got the Protoss player pushed back to his side of the map. So if they are busy playing Nidus Worm Whack-A-Mole, it would be a perfect opportunity to plant down the 3 o'clock base again and try and see if he can maybe get the job done. Mama Ship coming up. Viper on the production tab as well. +1 air weapons. We have the +1 melee. Solar is preparing for a late game transition now. Still, though, I'm liking this position quite a bit for Classic. Classic really has refined playing this playstyle so much over the last few months. From playing a very passive late game to just being the aggressor, while being simultaneously also very greedy and then also teching up. I mean, Classic really is playing some fantastic StarCraft. It's really nice to see. How do you even beat this? Well, Sarah has shown us that it is doable, but not easily achieved. Roaches and Ravagers, though, going in for the counterattack. I love this little hit squad of Hydras, too. Their DPS is not to be underestimated, so immediately a recall was forced. Okay, probes are still going to fall. Drones already did fall, though, on the other side. Looks like 20 workers have found a new place to be mining from. Golden minerals will be returned once again. Now, I've seen this scenario several times. And when I say several times, I mean many times on this exact same map over the last few months. And Classic specifically has been winning basically every game from this spot, other than maybe against Cyril. He really has got a very, very good handle on how to play this late game out. Oh, great feedback there as well on the Viper. You love to see it. I love that he still has that Oracle from the early game throwing down Revelation. So he's not really wasting any supply on an Observer here. Oh. Mothership into the main. Mothership into the main. Recall into the main. Dude, Classic is gaming so hard. Woo! I'm getting nerd chills. Time warp on the ramp. Yeah, good luck here, Solar. How are you going to save your main? He can storm. I mean, I would have loved to see a force field in here, too. That would be really hot. All right, well, he kills the Hive anyways. I'm pretty sure in a straight-up battle, this Protoss army is superior anyways. He's got a whole lot of Zealots now as well on the right side. And Solar, whilst really playing some solid StarCraft, gets overwhelmed in game number 2. Alrighty. That takes us to Incorporeal. Third game in what is actually a best-of-7 series. I thought it was a best-of-5, but nope. Turns out I am dumb. Best of 7 it is. So, a 1-1 score. Let's see. Honestly, a really, really nice game right there from Classic. I feel like from start to finish, he had a plan. I mean, obviously the early game could have been just a bit smoother, right? Especially with those Zerglings running in and then the delay on the third Nexus. I feel like I've seen a lot of games where when the third Nexus gets cancelled once, Protoss just sort of immediately is on the back foot. I know it sounds maybe a bit extreme, but we've seen so many games where Protoss just kind of doesn't have a clear early game. They don't really play a very clean match, and well, 3 minutes later, the Zerg army comes knocking at the front door and Protoss is forced to tap out. Classic, though, really navigated that brilliantly, and I can't believe that, like, after he had that little oopsie over at the third base, he's decided to go into a good old proxy. Well, this is a fake. Classic is faking a cannon rush. There is no forge. But Solar doesn't know it. Alright. Away we go. We actually, we did see a couple of cannon rushes at the EWC in that exact position. So, Classic just building a few pylons, hoping that maybe Solar was gonna pull a few more workers there, but not quite the case. Okay. Cybercore on the back it is right now for our Protoss. And we'll probably see a Stargate in the main base once more, as soon as that Cybercore is done. Now, full transparency, by the way, I do know who ended up winning this particular series. I think I was actually eating lunch or something whilst these games were being played, and I did follow along with some of the matches, but I didn't really look at them very closely. Like, when you're at a StarCraft 2 tournament, it's very funny. Like, when you're at a StarCraft 2 tournament, it's actually quite easy to not watch all of the games in depth because there's so many things going on that you're managing at the same time, especially as a caster. Even though you spend a lot of time, obviously, you know, paying attention to the results and making sure that you follow along with roughly what's happening and the strategies that are being played, you don't, oftentimes, unless you're casting yourself and you're maybe on like the analyst desk, but you don't necessarily follow along with all of the little details. And as always, journey before destination, right? But maybe you've had this experience at like a regular sporting event as well. Oftentimes, it is easier to watch the games from home than it is to actually watch them at a venue, just because there's so many distractions. I went to see the Formula 1 race actually in the Netherlands last year. And let me tell you, it's way easier to follow from home. Way easier to follow from home. In real life, it's like, car go real fast, zoom. That's about 90% of the experience. Zoom, zoom, zoom. There they go. Easier to follow along with the actual situation when you are watching from home. Anyway, Oracle coming up right now here for Classic. No surprise there. He's trying his very best. Incorporeal, always a fun map. It makes sense, by the way, that it's the best of 7 too, right? Because Torches as map number 1 is a little bit odd. Usually that would not necessarily be a map number 1. Very fun to see the variety, though. Alright, anyways. Oracle's going to be heading on over inside of the main base right now of Solar, and what exactly do we do? Bzzzt. One little bzzzt only. Ooh, Glaive Adepts. Now, there is an Overlord up above, and this is where, as a Zerg player, you kind of know that it's Glaive Adepts, because usually you go, if you want to go into Charge, or if you want to go into Blink, you go for a Forge. And he hasn't seen a Forge, but it's so obvious now that you almost don't believe anymore that it's Glaive Adepts. And you obviously know that your opponent knows that you have seen this, so you start almost playing a mind game with yourself. He's gonna go, yeah, he's gonna go back again. Solar's looking around here, trying to figure out roughly what's happening. And he still doesn't see a Forge. He sees a Chrono. I mean, this has to be Glaives. All right. He'll probably start making Zerglings here after these additional drones finish up. I think about 53 workers is good. Depends on how greedy he wants to be, though. He's already got a 4th hatchery coming up, too. So this is, by the way, going to be 4 gateways and glaives. So it's not by any stretch like an all-in here for Protoss. But it is certainly very dedicated. You need to deal some sort of damage. Already, though, we see the Overlord speed coming up here for Solar. He believes that he's got an opportunity to potentially go in. As long as he defends the next incoming push. Now, Classic has done a good job denying vision in the middle. But I feel like this push is now so obvious that it really shouldn't be able to deal that much damage. Still, though, he's going to go around the side. Roaches do show up as well. Good surround here with the Zerglings, but obviously the Adepts, they have a very fast attack speed as they try to shade into the main base. I like that Classic is mixing it up here. I'm just not sure if he maybe should have hidden this a little bit better, you know? So far, only 2 workers have died. All right, we do also have a group of Adepts over at the 3rd, though, and that may actually justify a lot of this early game. Yep, you blink once. Suddenly, the worker count is going up to 12. 12 dead drones. At the cost of what? 12 Adepts. All right, 13 drones in total, 12 Adepts. I mean, a counterattack right now from Zerg would be massive. Let's see. Where do we go? Oh my god. Classic has got a whole load of gateways inside of the main base too. A lot of sentries available here. That's a lot of sentries, by the way. Ay, 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 ay. Bro's got force fields for days. He's got force fields for his force fields. Here we go, though. The Zerg army is gonna arrive, and it looks like one of the units did get intercepted there. The Queens are, well, trying to pop back into their balloons, but the attack has been slowed down a bit. Classic just about to pop out his 2nd Immortal. This will be do or die right now for Solar. He needs to... Oh, another little miss-rally there for Classic. He needs to deal damage with this push right here, right now. Backing up to the safety of the shield battery. Immortal production slowly goes up. Queens, okay, gets snatched up right there by the Dropper Lord as well. Glaive Adepts are actually really quite good for the defense right now, yeah. Normally you wouldn't be warping in defensive Glaive Adepts. But they're actually pretty darn strong in this setup, and Classic holds. Solar decides to re-drone again, but now as the dust settles, the worker count is actually in favor of our Protoss player. Still chasing this down. Most of the sentries are now without energy, so it might not be a bad idea to just sit back at home for a little while and wait for them to regen some of that energy. We have the blink coming up. Wouldn't be surprised to see a Templar Archives here again in just a moment. Okay. You love to see it. Little Overlord drop in the main base, by the way. It's gonna force a recall, and this may actually even the odds a bit. Yeah, not a probes. You recalled 1 Adept. All right, buddy. It's so funny, because the recall animation is identical no matter how many units you recall. I wonder if maybe, like, people are talking about recall being too strong. It'd be kind of cool if you could see a visual of, like, the units that are actually getting recalled, so you can kind of decide whether or not you need to panic, but, yeah. That's also kind of a chat move, right? Like, recalling a single Adept just like that. I don't hate it. All right, more Zerglings waiting, though. It was their turn to pop into the balloon. In the meantime, we have, well, a slightly less interesting balloon moving on the right side of the map. But those Glaive Adepts are still useful. Knocking down the rocks right here as well at home is Classic, just to make sure that it's difficult right now for Solar to move up towards that ramp. Okay, drones run away, but I mean, this is a lot of damage done, though. 8 workers again for units that are kind of like leftovers. It's not bad at all. Still, Classic has thrown away a lot of units. 29 Adepts, actually, in total. Oracles are nowhere to be seen anymore, and that means that there's no revelations on this army. Classic doesn't have any vision out on the map anymore, other than the Observer that's trailing this behind, and that's honestly big. How in the world, though, is Classic going to hold on to this fourth? Couple adepts again moving into the right side of the map. I love the counterattack. Apparently Classic does not actually use this high ground advantage of his. I really thought he was going to try and force field this out, but I mean, those force fields are really nice as well. Slices the army in half. In the meantime, the drones run away from the adepts. Another good row of force fields there. Bunch of roaches on the left side working away at the probes on the fourth. Looks like the adepts have arrived in the natural expansion. Both players very busy trying to micro multiple engagements at once. And those corrosive balls do connect now. Any more force fields available? Would be easy to, well, prevent this entire army from escaping. Still, still, the fourth Nexus lives. And the amount of workers lost on the side of Classic is not that bad. He's going into the Storm research here as well now, chasing down as many of the roaches and the ravagers. Okay. One additional ravager cocoon gets morphed in. Classic forced to deal with very limited amounts of information, trying to make the best of this spot. I think Solar realizes that he is in a position to push, but he needs to actually like deal damage. Just like trading out army is not good enough. Getting the probes over here though and killing the Nexus is big. 4 probes, not the end of the world, but killing the Nexus itself really does slow down everything that Protoss can do. Because on 3 Nexi, you can't really make a transition towards Skytos. You need preferably 5 bases for that sort of thing, but at the bare minimum 4. Still though, Incorporeal has this really beautiful setup for 3 bases, right? It's really quite difficult for a Zerg to break up towards this high ground, which is why I was so surprised that Solar was allowed to go straight up there with the Protoss army waiting over at the 3rd. Solar now taking a 5th Nexus, a Zerg Nexus, in the bottom left-hand corner. Baneling Nest on the back of this as well. I don't know if I like Banelings here all too much, if I'm being honest. He's got to be aware of the fact that there's still a lot of sentries available, and Storm must be coming up next. He decides to double down and go into Baneling speed. If Solar believes he's got a massive advantage, I think he might be overestimating it. Baneling Nest here is a very much so get out of my game type of move. And Classic has shown us many, many times that he is not somebody that will tap out without very good reason. He's doing a little bit of creep clearing here as well. Solar decides to spread those tumors backwards right now. Rebuilds the 4th Nexus. With good storms and good force fields, the next incoming attack is very holdable. And Solar kind of sees the army now. He did lose, by the way, 11 drones as well. Probably to a run-by or maybe some leftover units. I mean, technically the sky is the limit, right? With this type of army. It's just very difficult to control. He grabs a bunch of, okay, roaches here on the right side. I don't mind that at all. Banelings coming up. Only 3. I think that Solar is just about, yep, to morph in a whole lot of Banelings, but Classic decides to meet him head on in the middle of the map. Perfect opportunity right now. He only has a handful of the High Templar left over. A storm over here could be big. A storm over here will be big, I believe, although he decides to just, okay, roll into Banes. That was not it at all. Solar immediately taps out. Brilliant game again by Classic, man. Next up, we find ourselves on Ultra Love. Now, I think Solar overestimated his advantage. Like, in his mind, he had slowed down the Protoss so much that there wasn't really going to be an easy follow-up. And he believed he had like a slam dunk victory by going for a big Baneling attack. Classic, though, realized that that is exactly what the opponent was going for. He did build a Nexus there, but I think it was mostly fake. He really emphasized unit production, and he, well, realized that there was going to be an opportunity to strike while the Banelings were morphing in. And Solar decided to go for the aggressive morph in. I think if you believe that you might be able to win the game, you're a little bit more conservative with that Baneling positioning. But Classic, I mean, he fought the engagement there with, well, only half of the Zerg army present, effectively. Those Banelings not yet available. You get like 2 waves of the Zerg. It's not really what you're aiming for there as Solar. Really, with like a Roach Ravager, Ling Bane type of army, you want the engagement to last about 3 seconds. If Classic can drag it out with Force Fields and Storms, I mean, usually it will always be better for Protoss. And, well, Classic, honestly, having the perfect opportunity there. So now we find ourselves in Ultra Love. I really love the aggression. The aggression is just so sick. I actually remember the order in which the games were being played, the day that this particular series was played. And I remember now that I did cast the series right before this one. So I was one of the casters at the EWC, obviously, and I did cast the series right before this one. It was a very long one, so I think I must have taken a break or something when the first game was being played. Very glad I didn't actually see that one, because that first game in this series was such a banger. Very nice to see. Believe it or not, commentators, at least most of us, are human too. Yeah, it means that some of us, at least I do, need to consume calories to, like, keep our biological bodies rolling and maybe mellow out a little bit, maybe not, you know, drink too much caffeine. You gotta be, I have learned early on in my casting career at offline tournaments to not go too ham on the caffeine. Caffeine can be very useful for casting StarCraft, but you gotta time it correctly. You can't be drinking caffeine the entire day long for an entire week straight. It's not an ideal thing to do. Me, as a fellow human, I too love consuming calories and converting oxygen into carbon dioxide. It's one of my favorite things to do. How do you do, fellow humans? Could you do me a favor and hit the like button below the video? Thank you. Thank you, fellow humans. All right, Oracle. Once more here for Classic. Yeah, you also don't want to drink too much in general as a caster. It's very easy to be chugging along water. Usually if you're co-casting, right? So you're casting with somebody else, it's very easy to have a sip of water after you're done talking while the other person is talking. Also, suboptimal to do the entire way through, especially if you're doing a long series. I guess you can take a break if you really need to and just have your co-commentator cover for you, but it's a little awkward. Better just not be, you know, maybe don't just drink the entire way through. All right, let's see. Glaive to Depths again. I mean, it sort of worked in the previous game. I really didn't love it. But, all right. Strategically, it is nice to keep the opponent guessing. If you're solo right now, right, do you assume the Glaive to Depth opener was good enough in the previous game? Sort of-ish. Don't know if you would really consider it, though, as we do see 4 drones dying here. Maybe 5. Ooh, I love this. I love that. Love that the Oracle decided to split off and go back for a little bit more. Don't lose it now, though. Yeah, just take the long road back. All right. There's surely no way he's going to do the same wacky build twice in a row, right? Well, Classic doesn't care. And actually, on this map, especially from the third base, reinforcements to your opponent's third base, super quick. Sometimes I find it hard to believe that this is the same Classic that I did cast at the very beginning of the year. I just remember some of those games that Classic was playing back in, like, I think this was January, maybe early February. They were not pretty. He just, I don't know, they were not good games. I'm sure some of you remember those as well. They were wild. They were not good. He's playing so much better now. It's really nice to see. All right, let's see. Solar did lose a bunch of workers, and he did replace the majority of them. So that's a bit concerning. Oh, Shade gets canceled, at least on some of them. There are a few Banelings available. One of the Oracles does die. So this is a Baneling response right now, rather than a Roach Warren response. And so far, Classic knows about it. The Oracle died because of it. At least to scout that information it did. I mean, I don't think they can die to Banelings, Oracles that is, but nice popping right there of that that little stasis ward. But already, these Adepts are putting in work. Is he gonna shade? Nope, he's not. Oracle rolling out the carpet. The red carpet, that is. Just to make it easier for the Adepts to escape. We have another group of Adepts as well on the right. This time around, he does commit. Zerglings and Banelings have been trying to chase this. In the meantime, Blink is also researching, and we'll probably see Storm again in a moment. This is significantly worse for Solar compared to the previous game. And we all now know the outcome of the previous game too. Classic is going to be able to do whatever he pleases from here. Now, he's really liking Storm. If this whole StarCraft thing doesn't work out for him, he can work at, like, the Korean Weather Institute or whatever. Just predict it's going to be stormy weather every day. No, but seriously, Sidestorm is a really good upgrade. And if you can get it done, it'll be difficult for any Zerg army, really, to move in. I mean, obviously, there are armies that are good against High Templar, but they are all tier 3. Really, the only way that Solar can fight into a Storm-based unit composition is by having the superior numbers. But when you're economically behind, it's difficult to get there. Let's see. Yeah, he's making roaches. He's gonna give it a shot, I believe. He did redrone to just enough for 3 base saturation. I mean, there's always an opportunity, right, for Protoss to mess up. We don't have any Immortal production. And without Immortals, I guess roaches can sort of weather the storm reasonably well. Literally. But, I mean, Storm is good against everything. Like, Storm is just a flat 80 damage if you stand in the full duration of it. And while the roaches have a lot of HP, they're still kind of flimsy. At least, like, compared to the other Zerg units, right? They feel like they have a lot of HP, but realistically, they really don't have a ton. Here we go, though. The angle is important. High Templar a little late to this party. 4th Nexus is in some trouble, but good for Storm. Oh, aggressive blink forward. I can't believe he blinked into that. Still, though, he's dodging the Biles. Solar decided to put the Biles all in one location, which I disagree with. He's trying to see if he can potentially break this spot. Classic now using that newly made Nexus and Pylon there to warp in reinforcements into effectively a concave format for him. Yeah, he holds this easy. Second Robo facility coming up as the first Immortal is just about to spawn. Actually, second Immortal is just about to spawn. First one already has a kill. This is Classic basically taking like a lateral step as far as teching up goes. He could go into Skytolls and the whole shebang, but he's looking at this game right now and he's thinking there's really no way that Zerg is gonna tech up from here. And if this is the army I'm addressing, it is much better for me to go into a Immortal army here instead. So he's gonna go Immortal, Stalker, Storm, Zealot, whatever else he can produce. Little Zealot run by as well, maybe a War Prism in the main base. But as long as he can force this Zerg to stay in mid-game tech, as long as Zerg doesn't go into Lurkers or Brute Lords or any of that, I mean, you can stick around on this unit composition and be perfectly fine as Protoss. Still, though, it's all about positioning. Some of the High Templar are a little bit far forward. Man, he's dancing with death here every single time, but somehow all of the Templar survived. Zealot run by as well inside of the main base. Classic now 4 base. Fully saturated. Solar also on 4 bases, but still only just 66 workers. So Classic now has the opportunity to effectively swarm his opponent. And he's already got the better units. Like, this is not a unit composition, oh my god, unless there's the natural wide open that can really win in a straight-up fight. That Storm is juicy, though. Oof. Well, maybe Roaches don't die to a singular, but, I mean, that's still really good. Some reinforcing zealots apparently inside of the main base too. We did see a recall now. I'm not exactly sure where do we go. Oh, to the natural expansion. Okay, fair enough. To the main base and the natural. Reinforcing Protoss units, though, are going to be needed over at the third, because that is where Solar is sending his new stuff. Seems like Classic is dealing with every single one of those engagements good enough. Still a superior economy here for Classic. No reliable counter here for Solar against this army at all, so he decides to tap out. Next up, we find ourselves on Pylon. Match point right here for Classic, who has been looking mighty dangerous. He's been looking dangerous doing ordinary stuff. That's the scary part about it. Like, he's doing the ordinary stuff. I feel like across the board, I don't know the exact timings to really back this statement up, but I feel like across the board, he's a bit slower with expanding, especially towards the fourth base, but even the third. A lot of Protoss players lately have been rushing up the third base, sometimes even doing it off of like the absolute bare minimum. We've seen like a Nexus at the third at like 305, which is kind of nuts. But he's been slowing down his expansions a bit in favor of additional tech and just more aggressive pushing. It's really nice to see. And he's doing it as well with build orders that are considered to be not quite optimal. I think we can all say that, like, Glaive the Depth Openers, which he now did 2 games back-to-back, I don't think anybody would consider those to be, like, the very best strategies to go for. Maybe like an A tier type of build. Maybe a high B tier. But it's nice to see. It's really cool. So where do we go from here? What do we do right now? The absolute norm would be to go from Oracles into Blink Stalkers with +1 attack. Then you try and leverage your way into some additional, well, value out on the map. You get a 4th Nexus going, maybe go into Storm. And then eventually you go into Skytools. Classic seems to be playing a much more mobile version of that type of army and just constantly be out on the map. Honestly, more impressive now than Max specs. And definitely more consistent than Max as well. I haven't casted as many Max specs games lately. Max specs in general, over the last few years, in my mind, the best Protoss, but I think he's become a little bit frustrated with the amount of tournaments that he can actually play. Max specs not really, well, are participating obviously in any offline StarCraft 2 event, and in the past he could play still in quite a few large online cups too, but now, well, all of the biggest tournaments have once more shifted to an offline state, and I think Max specs may have lost a little bit of motivation because of it. Not exactly sure, I'm just thinking out loud here, but he's not looked as impressive to me. Really still is a shame, right? I feel like Max specs can play like this too. And Classic managed to, well, climb all the way up to the all the way to the grand finals of the EWC this year. Facing off against Cerro in the grand finals. I mean, it's I think it's $100,000 second place. Oh well. I've already talked about Max specs many times over the years, but luckily we have some other Protoss players stepping up and showing us what is technically possible. It's really nice as well, actually, that Classic decides to do this. Can I actually look this up real quick? When was Classic's first tournament match? I don't know if I can find it real quick. I'm pretty sure this is logged on a Ligulac. His first tournament match was on May 20th, 2012, which, believe it or not, is more than 8 years ago. I mean, that's like 8 years ago and 3 months, right? Give or take. Give or take. All right. Twilight Council. No Forge. No Forge. I feel like Classic has kind of let himself loosen up a little bit with the build orders. Protoss has always been very rigid when it comes to builds, and lately he's just he's free-flowing a little bit more. Seems to be working out just fine for him. So again, Solar sees the exact same thing. He gets the scout, but is it going to be Blink? Is it going to be Glaives? Now he goes Blink. Ay, 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 ay. Oracle's roaming the map. Look, Solar has seen this thing now, many games in a row, and it's been Glaives every time. Now with Glaives, it's critical that you stop droning before the units smash you in the face. Solar needs to be careful that he doesn't get too greedy, but I think he should be okay droning a little bit further. Still though, this is just going to be the most ordinary thing ever, and then a Forge a little bit delayed. I mean, Classic has had the money for the Forge for a while, but I think he purposely didn't plant it down just to keep the opponent guessing. Technically, this is suboptimal. Right? Like, you could have had the Forge already done here, but because of the scouting from Solar, he's now playing the series, right? Like, rather than playing a single one-off, best-of-one ladder type of game, this is him now playing the series and really making it more difficult for the opponent to predict as to what's going on. Templar Archives coming up as well here again, so we should be going into Storm. A little bit of a Zergling scout over at this expansion as well, just to get some more vision out on the map. Evo chamber here. But yeah, Solar has begun unit production. Now he sees a bunch of Stalkers, though. Look at the income. Look at the amount of workers. 56 versus 61. Why? Because Classic went for Glaive to Depths 2 games back-to-back. Solar has willingly put himself behind. Oh, no. Ah, not this again. Alright, well, it was brilliant until it was stupid. Couple Zerglings slip into the base. So far, only a handful of units go down. Alright, Classic. Classic had to show us that he is a Protoss player after all, right? Like, he doesn't have doors, okay? Jeez. In Protoss society, doors aren't needed. That's a very human thing, okay? You feel like you need a door to like feel safe in your cave or something. Why do we don't technically need doors in real life either, okay? This is just us being biological robot. Oh wait, no, I'm a robot. You're maybe not. Anyways, the Zerg though does have a very large army, and he's now reluctantly going into a bit of an Overlord drop, and maybe we can follow it up with some aggression. Don't think he was really planning on that, though, in this game, but because he made so much army to try and defend a depth push that never came, he's now going to try and use the army for something. Storm coming up, though, and Storm is already like 90% of the way done. Any delay from here will make it be finished, and, well, it is indeed going to be prepared in advance. We have 4 High Templar. Energy recharge is real good. Storm! Oh. Alright, well, we should have stormed a little bit quicker. Classic's starting to fall asleep a little bit in this game. Ooh, does dodge the corrosive balls, though, and that storm over there was juicy. Full wall in over here, too. Yep, again, he can easily use some of the reinforcements for that. Some nice movement here, too, by Solar, though. He's trying to target fire down to the best of his abilities, the splash damage here of the opponent, but he's just having a difficult time really creating a foothold for himself. What about this? Overlord drop in the main base? Ah, we had a photon cannon already ready to go, and that is indeed going to prevent, well, the Zerg from dealing what could still be critical amounts of damage. Classic probably anticipating either a Spire transition or maybe a Zergling drop like that exact strat he just saw. Now he's chasing down some of the Ravagers, snipes 2 of them. Oracle's still working away at whatever they can hit as well, and I think when he goes this deep onto creep, Classic is going to have to escape again. Oracle's, though, still zapping away. Man, these two must have got actually only 4 and 2 kills. Huh. Not even as many as I thought, but it's still extremely effective. Okay. 71 workers for Protoss, 58 drones for Zerg. I'm starting to get deja vu from some of the previous games. Classic is now able to outswarm the Zerg player. Now, he should probably get some more High Templar. Only 2 of them feels a little bit lackluster. And he's got a few of them now. Doesn't have a ton of gas, though, so he needs to spend his money wherever possible. Solar, I think he's going to be able to force a council on this 4th. Should be. Oh, good storm, though. Ooh, those storms are juicy. Yeah, there's just no easy way for Zerk to deal with the storms at this point. Man. It's almost hard to imagine that this is the same classic as the one that played that finals against Serral. You know, like, he didn't play poorly in the finals, don't get me wrong, but geez. Serral made Zerk look utterly broken. And then when you look at it in this particular series here from Solar's point of view, I mean, Solar won the first game, but that was a weird one. That game was very, very weird. This game right here and these last few games, it kind of just feels like he's having a hard time really getting his feet under him. Like, look, he's again maxed out, right? Like, don't get me wrong, this is still a very playable state for him. It's just that this army here that Zerk has, against the properly controlling Protoss, and obviously there's only a handful that can actually optimize this type of army, but when Protoss controls this unit composition really well, it just seems pretty much impenetrable. Okay, now getting a council on this 4th Nexus, though, would be big. He's not going to be able to get it. High Templar throwing water balloons is too much. What about the attack over here on the left, though? Maybe he can send in a reinforcing squad as well towards that 4th Nexus. The aggressive blink forward. 9 probes end up going down. Immortals, though, are starting to join the fray, and they just deal so much freaking damage. Nice target firing as well by Classic. We do have the Queens joining in. The High Templar throwing water balloons at the Queens. It's an interesting thing. Looks like the army on the left does get wiped off the map. Oh, and GG gets called with it. I was going to say Solar did kill 14 workers and finally grabbed the worker advantage once again. But my God, did he have to work for it. Phenomenal series here by Classic. Pretty much no criticism. I think he played that really well. I love this new, like, more aggressive version of Protoss. Rather than, like, sitting back behind the wall trying to defend whatever is going on, he's doing a lot of meeting the opponent halfway, right? Remember when they first removed the shield battery overcharge? And they, well, introduced the energy regen ability on the Nexus instead? It's really made Protoss be a lot more active out on the map. Rather than, like, sitting back behind all of the static defense, we get Protoss actually willing to fight in the middle of the map. And I absolutely love that. Great work right there by Classic. Now, today I also want to give a special shout out to all of the Patreon supporters. Look at all of these legends, and look at this. There's room for your name. right over here.